Okay, so now we move on to the butterfly spread. So the butterfly spread, it's a combination of the bull and bear spread, with three different exercise price, X1, X2, and X3. And basically what you're doing is you buy a call of exercise X1, you sell a call, and then you sell two calls actually with exercise 2, and then you buy another call with exercise 3. So basically by doing this, you get a interesting spread where you have a peak at exercise 2, basically X2, basically because you do a double short position, right? So you have a spike there. And again, what's interesting about this spread or this spread strategy is that uh, we want to look at what is first of all the value at expiry. We want to know the profit and the break even, right? Always the three things. So knowing the diagram, we first buy a call given here, right? First call, you have two short calls at X2, and finally one last call, long call at X3, right? So given that it's a spread strategy, like uh, what James was talking about, put spread in for his strategy. So a spread strategy basically gives you returns, right? What we're trying to get is returns. So our profit basically is the value of our spread expiry and any cost relating to this, right? And our cost is the uh, cost of the long positions, which is our first call at X1 and third call at X3, right? Of course, our short positions are the point where we get money, right? We are shorting the calls, so we get some money there. Okay. So in the event of a break even, so going back to the diagram, the break even happens here, right? One break even, two break even. So there are two break evens, one between X1, X2, the other one X2, X3. So the two break evens even point is given by this. First is between X1, X2. So basically what's happening here is just X1 plus the cost relating to the call, sorry, cost relating to the butterfly spread strategy. While the others break even, which is in between X2 and X3, is the 2 times of X2, which is the short position that you get, minus the X1, right? Because it's between X2 and X3, and then minus the cost relating to the butterfly spread. So this is the how to determine the break even for your butterfly. So your butterfly is actually quite I would say high risk kind of strategy because you only at exactly the X2 point here, X2, you make the greatest profit, right? Other than that, you are going to make some profit, but not too much. And of course, once you cross over to the break even here, you make no profit at all. In fact, you start making losses. So for butterfly spread, you really must have very good conviction to know that or to believe that your spread is going to be exactly at this X2 point. So maximum losses happens when your ST is in on extreme ends, meaning is at X1 or X3, right? At X1, X3, you're going to make the maximum losses. And this is where when it's at X1, then this will be 0, right? And X1 then is below this, so this 0 will be 0, 2. And then since it's below X3 as well, this is going to be 0, right? So basically, your maximum loss is the cost of your butterfly spread. Your maximum profit is exactly at X2. So when everything is x2, this will have certain things, right? Because now this is in money. Your core is the money here. At x2, this exactly cancel off, so it's 0. And then this one is also out of the money. And so what we get is just this and your cost of your butterfly spread. As mentioned earlier, the break even for there are 2 points for break even for butterfly. So it's either this or this. Do you have any questions for the butterfly spread? Okay, no, right? Okay, this is a okay. Let's go through this example and then I'll leave this example to you to have a look. Okay. So we always have two answers. Yes, correct. So you have two answers for break even. You're right. So maybe I'll leave this to you because it's kind of the same as what we go through here. Okay, so I'll not go through this again. Basically, it's the same thing, but in pictorial version. So you see, all the answers are same. So these are because there's no working here, so I did a working on the previous slide. All right. So I'll leave this to you to go through this example for butterfly spread. Next is a straddle. So a straddle, right, benefits from a large swing on the stock price. So if you expect some drastic volatility in your stock prices, the straddle is the best, right? Because at the exercise price of X, this is where you're going to get the least profit or basically a loss, which is the cost of having a long call and a long put at the same, which is the cost of long call and long put. But anything that is beyond this, you're going to start making profit rate, right? So if you believe that volatility is very high, that's where you're going to make some money and you buy a straddle. So the value, again, we do the value, profit, and break even. So the value of a straddle is simply given by having a long call and long put, as given here, right? Value of the long call and long put. The profit, on the other hand, is basically this value, right? VT minus the cost of buying the call and the cost of buying the put, right? So these are the cost of the call and the put. The break even is there are two break evens here. So like what you asked earlier on the butterfly for the straddle, you're also going to have two break even, which is the point before going below X and above X, right? And this plus minus is basically the cost of the call and the put. Okay. So we have an example here. We have a 145 call for Apple and 145 put. All right. So if the stock price is below the strike of 145, we start making the profit, right? And so if it's below the strike, that's where this is not going to, this is nothing because it's out of money. But this is where our put is going to make some money, right? So we, of course, we do not know what's ST, but we know that our strike is at 145. So it's going to make some money, 145 minus whatever stock price, and minus the cost of your straddle position, which is the long call and the long put position. Anything that is above 145, which is here, this is where our call is going to start making money. And this is in the money now. It's off the money, right? And it's the same thing now. Right? Okay. So this is kind of like the last strategy that we want to look at. It's called the box spread. So a box spread basically combines a bull spread with a bear spread. Okay, so you have a bull spread and a bear spread with the same strike. And so this strategy looks a bit weird, right? So the payoff, right, appears as a straight line. So this is the strategy here, the one straight line like that, which is like, huh, what is this, right? Why would you buy a strategy as a straight line? So the idea behind a box spread is that we want to take advantage of the price difference at the time you pay for the spread. So this is one, the time you pay for spread. So this is important. I need to understand this and the time, the payoff at expiry. So we are actually playing with the time difference between initially how much you pay and in the end how much you get, right? So this is important. So box spread really focuses on the price you pay at the start and how much you're going to get in the future, right? Of course, minus any transaction costs. So again, this might look complicated, but let's try and dissect this slowly, right? It's not going to be very complicated. You will notice that your slides look slightly different. It's actually exactly the same. I just removed some of the notation that looks a bit more complicated, but let me explain to you what's happening here. Okay, so we have a bull spread position. A bull spread is a combination of you buy a call at X1, right? So we buy a call at X1, you write a call at X2, right? So this is what we covered earlier. We do a bull spread. Now, when you write a call, in your existing slide, if you did not download it just for today's lesson, there'll be no negative here. But then they mentioned that I think they mentioned something like this NC2 is less than zero, meaning it's a negative value. But I feel that it's not very, I mean, it's not wrong, just that I feel that you might not notice this part here. So I kind of deleted it. So I'm just going to erase it. And then if you download the slide like today, just before the lesson, you will see these changes, right? So basically what it means is that when you write a call position is negative, right? So you're going to have a negative here. And so the combination of the bull uh, call bull spread strategy is just this minus this, right? Because you are buying a call and writing a call. So there's a minus here. Just want to highlight that these will be multiplied in, like that. It's like they will be multiplied in, because negative will multiply in. Right. So for bear spread, we use the put. So we buy the put at X2 and then we short the put at X1. Right. So we buy a put and then we short the put. Again, it's a negative here because we are shorting a put. Same thing, we are going to have a negative here, and then this is going to multiply in. Okay, so this bull spread and bear spread is not new. This one, I'm just going to flip back to slides to show you. It's exactly the same formulation. It's here, bear spread. Right? It's exactly the same. Maybe the notation looks a bit weird, and then the bull spread here. Okay, so please take note, it's exactly the same here. I'm just going to combine both bull and bear. Right? So a box spread combines a bull spread and a bear spread. So for box spread, you combine both together. And so basically what you get is this, right? We are just going to combine, I'm just going to highlight in light blue, this one and this one here. Okay. And the aggregate you get is this. And so between this and this, the one in the box is the final one because what I have done is I have multiplied the minus inside here. I multiplied the minus. And so what we get is this, right? Minus maximum plus, right? Minus and minus got plus C2. Minus maximum plus P1, right? Minus and minus here. So I'm just going to highlight in a different color. This one and this one become a plus. Any questions here regarding this is the final formulation for your box spread. Can you also highlight the profit area in the payoff chart? Okay, so you're talking about the box spread here, right? The payoff here. Yes. Okay, so the payoff is actually quite interesting. You can't see on this diagram because it's a flat line, right? It's a bit strange. Basically, the line goes up or down only. That's your payoff. So you can't really see. The thing is, you can't really see. Okay. And maybe the next slide is going to show you why you can't really see in the diagram because it's a straight line. So there's not really a payoff um, per se. So okay, that's a good question. So let's see what's happening here. Okay, so for box spread, so this is the formulation for box spread. Yeah, this is the formula. So there are going to be three scenarios. Okay, first scenario, your ST is less than x1, x2. What does it mean? If ST is less than x1, means your call is out of the money and your put is in the money, right? So your call here, because it's less than this, is out of the money, right? So I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to cancel this out of the money, right? They disappear, right? So what you only get is your put that's in the money, right? So what you have remaining here, I'm just going to use a different color, is C minus C1 here, C2, X1 minus ST because this is remaining, P, X1 plus because this minus, so just be careful, this minus need to multiply in, one need to multiply in here like this. And then you get your P1 here. Okay, so this is your payoff. Then you simplify, your final payoff will be this, right? X1 minus X2 minus C1 minus P2 plus C2 plus P1. So basically, I just simplify this thing here. Everyone's okay with this? The first payoff when ST is less than X1, X2. Correct. I believe so. Okay. So I'll just go to the last one here, this one here. So if ST is more than X1 and more than X2, right? So now what happens? Now the reverse case happens. Your call becomes in the money, your put becomes out of the money, right? So I'm just going to erase this thing so that we can redo the calculation again. So your call is in the money. So now this has some value. So your call is going to give you your core is going to give you st minus x minus c1, which is here, minus this one, right? This one has some value. Just be careful that this minus must be multiplied in like this, all right? So it means that it becomes minus st, okay, minus st plus x2, because you need to multiply the minus in. So just be very careful on the negative sign. Plus c1 here, as given here, and then our put is going out of the money, right? So what we left is your minus P2 plus P1 here. Okay. And then we simplify it and we get this value. Do you notice something? That, hey, you know what? This and this looks and it's exactly the same. Okay? Which is quite interesting because it's not a surprise. Why? Why is this not a surprise? Anyone can see why is this not a surprise? That our profit is exactly the same. Because it's a straight line. You're right. Totally. That's right. It's because it's a straight line. Okay. So let's look at the middle case. So the middle case is that our purchase is the money. So initially when you purchase, the position is in the money, but your sales becomes out of the money. Right? So in this case, what happens? Okay, so let's erase all this again. Let's erase all this. So your purchase is in the money. So when our purchase is in the money, means what? This is in the money, right? St minus x. So this is in the money, okay? And then we have minus C1 as usual. Now, this part here is going to be out of the money, right? Because your sales is out of the money. So it's going, let me just delete, sorry, what should I do? Okay, let me erase this. So our sales is going out of the money here, right? And then what's left is just the C2 here, okay? And then our purchase again for this is in the money, right? I'm just going to highlight this. This is in the money. This is okay, minus P2. Now, then again, this sales is out of the money, right? And in this case, we get exactly, again, the same payout here. And so, basically, the box spread, again, what I repeat, is that we are trying to create value in a situation where there's a difference between the purchase and the final sales price of a strategy, right? Which is why in the payoff, you don't really see anything at all. And let's try to understand what does this thing means, right? This thing, what does this thing means? Can you see that this value here is the initial outlay, is how much you're going to pay for the box strategy. And then this exercise price becomes your future payoff when you exercise it, right? So what's happening? You're actually taking the future price, future payoff, minus your initial layout, your outlay to get your spread. And this spread is your box spread, the amount that you earn. However, we know that x2 minus x1 is a future payoff. It means that we need to do what? We need to present value it. So we need to present value the future payoff. Then we less off the initial outlay. And if MPV is more than 0, we should execute a long box spread because we're going to get some money. MPV is positive. If it's negative, we should execute a short box spread. Do you have any questions for this? So this is I think this is quite important because it's the toughest I don't think it's very tough, but it's the most complex. Okay, let's use the word complex strategy. Chances are it's quite high that it's going to be tested in some way or another, right? So any questions on this? Um, so the present value is because this strategy uses the difference in price, particularly because of difference in timing between the initial outlay and the future cash that you get. And so we want to be a bit more accurate by discounting the future proceeds. That's the main reason. That's a great question. We have example here. Let's look at this example here. So this is an important example. So consider this, right? We have a bull spread. So first we have a bull spread, and a bull spread we make it. We create a bull spread by having a 145 call and 150 call, right? Remember, your bull spread is just using a call with different exercise price, and then we have a bear spread, which is using a put different exercise price as well, 150 and 145. Okay, so we are given the prices of our various call and put. Okay, and then we are giving some additional data as well, right? Data observed on 10 Jan, current date is 21st March. We are given various risk-free rate in January, March, and April, right? Couple of risk-free rates that are available here. They say use the convention 30/360 conversion, which is fine. Now, we want to calculate what the MPV of our box spread, or basically what's our profit, right? What's our profit? Of course, this is present value profit. So we take the different strike price. So our different strike price is basically 5, right? 50 minus 45. So 5. We discount it back to the present. So this is your discounted value, right? But what's more important is you want to combine this strategy by determining the cost initial. This is your outlay, right? Outlay, your initial outlay, the cost involved in creating your bull spread and your bear spread, right? And so once you determine this, we found that, hey, you know what? Your MPV of this box spread strategy is actually negative, which means that it's better for us to take a short position so that we earn on the box spread. Do you have any questions here? No questions? No? Okay. So I believe this is the end of the lecture for this topic. Uh, all right. Any, do you have any queries regarding the coming? Okay, so this concludes lecture three. So if you notice, lecture three is a bit lighter. Uh, it's actually on purpose. So lecture three is a bit lighter so that we can accommodate the presenter earlier. And also because we know that there's going to be a class test, so hopefully you spend a bit of time revising for a class test as well. And lecture four is going to pick up again. Pick up meaning that it's going to be a bit intense, like what you have experienced in lecture one and two. So just bear with me. Lecture four, five, four, five, and six might ramp up in terms of the rigor again. You put it that way. But do we have any queries, like general queries, any questions on topics that we might have covered in the past that you just want to quickly run through some queries because I know the class test is this Saturday, which is very soon, especially for those who are working. I know it's quite busy. Yeah, I'm just going to pause the lecture recording because we are done with the lesson.